Imagine. The municipal officials of an entire city, even fully armed soldiers, were completely manipulated by a poor shoemaker without a residence permit. There were no official appointments, no formal documents. Merely wearing a second-hand, ill-fitting Prussian captain's uniform. Wilhelm Vogt, a man who had spent half his life behind bars, staged the most absurd power experiment in human history in that autumn of 1906. Tonight, let us accompany the flickering firelight and this unforgettable tale, stepping into the true story of his life. Without firing a single shot, without using any violence, he paralyzed the entire Köpenick town hall. Was this the despicable trick of a swindler, or the ultimate satire of a desperate man against the rigid, cold bureaucratic system? Beneath the shadow of the Prussian uniform, how far can human beings go in blind obedience? Behind this absurd ending, what piercing fate lies hidden in Wilhelm Voigt's life? The rift in his fate had already opened beneath Wilhelm Voigt long before that autumn afternoon. He was 57 years old, walking out of the prison gate with nothing but his rough craft of shoemaking. In the German Empire of that era, which valued order and status above all else, Wilhelm Voigt was a man who did not exist. With a criminal record, he could not apply for a residence permit. Without a permit, he could not find honest work. Without work, he would be arrested again as a vagrant and locked in prison. He was like a garbled code trapped in an unbreakable program. No matter how hard he struggled, the system sought to erase him completely. He humbly wandered through government offices, facing cold faces hiding behind uniforms. Those officials never looked at him, only at the papers in his hand. Without a single red official stamp, he was no longer regarded as a human being, but as worthless rubbish. Until one day, in a dusty second-hand costume shop, he laid eyes on a neglected Prussian infantry captain's uniform. At that moment, a thought both mad and sober flashed across Wilhelm Voigt's weathered eyes. If this world only recognizes clothes rather than people, then I shall give them the authority they crave to see. On October 16, 1906, on the streets of Berlin, a lean man dressed in a captain's uniform appeared before two lines of soldiers changing guard. Wilhelm Voigt straightened his slightly hunched back, bent from years of shoemaking, and spoke in an authoritative military tone he had carefully imitated. "Attention all personnel! By supreme order, follow me to Köpenick at once to carry out confidential official duties." The young soldiers did not even ask his name. At the mere sight of the golden epaulets and neat uniform, they stood rigidly at attention and replied in unison. In Prussia at that time, the uniform was divine, unquestionable truth. The higher the rank, the absolute the authority. Wilhelm Voigt led more than a dozen soldiers onto the train bound for the suburbs, calmly smoking a cigar in the carriage. He might have smiled coldly to himself, watching the scenery receding outside the window, knowing he was heading toward an unprecedented judgment. When the troop arrived at Köpenick Town Hall, all eyes in the city fixed upon the captain. Policemen stepped aside, clerks bowed their heads. Wilhelm Voigt strode straight into the mayor's office and declared a groundless charge in the sternest tone. "Mr. Mayor, you are under arrest for financial fraud and irregular conduct. Hand over the keys to the treasury at once." Mayor Lang, who usually held great prestige in the small town, showed not the slightest doubt under Wilhelm Voigt's imposing pressure. He did not even demand to see a written arrest warrant, merely stammered excuses before obediently handing over all the cash from the city treasury. Wilhelm Voigt took the heavy money bag containing 4,000 gold marks, a vast sum at the time. Yet he showed no greed of a sudden rich man. Maintaining his cold, efficient demeanor as a captain, he counted the money carefully, and even wrote out a formal receipt. He ordered soldiers to escort the mayor to Berlin by carriage, while he excused himself to report to headquarters and vanished into the thick fog of the train station. The whole incident lasted less than 3 hours. He controlled the entire city without resistance or doubt from anyone. Was it because Wilhelm Voigt's deception was flawless? No. He precisely nailed the fatal flaw of human nature, blind obedience. Prussian order was built upon absolute obedience to superiors. Once the uniform appeared, people's judgment, common sense, and even self-awareness instantly faded away. Wilhelm Voigt took off his captain's uniform in the train station restroom, returning once more to his humble, dust-covered identity as an old shoemaker. Staring at his ordinary, aged reflection in the mirror, he may have felt profound desolation. For he had just proven that all the suffering he endured throughout his life stemmed from this illusory reverence for authority. The Köpenick caper quickly shocked the whole of Germany, even reaching the ears of Kaiser Wilhelm II. Surprisingly, the emperor was not furious. Instead, he laughed heartily and remarked, "Look how disciplined my people are!" After his arrest, Wilhelm Vogt showed no fear. He even relished recounting the truth in court. He needed no lawyer to defend him, for he himself was a master of satire. He openly demonstrated how he had brought those arrogant officials to their knees. The entire courtroom, and soon all of Berlin, shifted from anger to amusement. People began to sympathize with the shoemaker driven to extremes by the system. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison, yet inside his cell, he became a folk hero. Letters and donations poured in from all over the world. Even the shoes he handmade in prison were sold at high prices by wealthy collectors, and portraits of the Captain of Köpenick became wildly sought after. Only 2 years later, Wilhelm II signed a pardon, personally releasing the swindler who had embarrassed the empire yet proven his people's strict discipline. After his release, Wilhelm Voigt became a nationwide celebrity, even embarking on a touring stage show, donning the captain's uniform time and again on stage. But was he truly happy deep inside? All his life, he had longed to be respected as a human being, yet that respect could only be gained by pretending to be the very role he despised. Wilhelm Voigt spent his peaceful later years in Luxembourg. With the earnings from his stage tours, he bought a small house and returned to his old trade of shoemaking. In 1922, the man who once shook an empire passed away in loneliness. His funeral was quiet and plain, yet his tombstone forever bore that special title. What he left to the world was more than a trivial anecdote. It was a mirror reflecting human nature. Whenever we abandon rational thought and respect for individual souls out of blind reverence for external authority, uniforms, or fixed standards, Wilhelm Voigt's mocking laughter echoes once more through the corridors of history. He was a shoemaker from Poznan, and an accidental hero born under the rigid order of Germany. He sought truth within lies and revealed human nature through absurdity. That ends tonight's story. May you see through the illusory vanity behind Wilhelm Voigt's faded uniform and hold fast to the light within your heart. The fire has died down, the night grows quiet. May this memorable tale accompany you into peaceful dreams. Good night.